Hi everyone, it's Tanya Gibbs from Psycho Moms, and I'm participating in a tag swap with Kathy at Paper Phenomena, and it's supposed to be a summer tag, and it's supposed to be cut from your Cricut and have an unusual shape. So this is my tag, and I'm going to show you step by step on how I made it. But the unusual shape of this tag is obviously it's the state of Florida. And from the back you can really see it, and it had to be 3x5, and mine is just right at 3x5. I think this is 4 inches, and the width from here to here is 5 inches. So I just made it, but anyway, this is what I call Florida, or call summer. I mean, I live here in Florida, and it's awful hot and bright here, but we have the beaches, so I put the shells here for the beaches. We got palm trees everywhere. I'm always in St. Augustine, so I had to put the lighthouse for St. Augustine. And then this is a picture of the beaches, and this is a sunrise picture, or sunset picture, excuse me. And then of course there's boating in Florida. So, and then of course we can't forget the mouse, because the mouse is a big part of our our recreation here in Florida. So I figured with this going all over the country, you know, through a tag swap, this would be cool, because a lot of people come to Florida for vacation time, and if the person who gets it doesn't go to Florida for vacation, perhaps maybe one day they will, and they'll have this. So let's get started on how to make it. And I've already started this in some stages so that we can save on time for drying, but this is what we're doing here. First of all, I took my tag, my base, and I cut it out in the Cricut. I used Design Studio and basically just took the Florida from the 50 states and then added just a square to it, just welded it together so that I would have a place for my ocean. And then I covered the chipboard piece, this is covered in chipboard, and I covered the chipboard front and back with gesso. So that has now dried. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next step. And pardon my mat, it's pretty messy, but I've been working here. So now the next step is I have this texture medium that I've bought, and I use it quite a bit. In fact, this tube is about empty. But it's basically, it's made by Delta, and it's just dimensional paint that you would do if you were stenciling on a wall and then you wanted to paint over it. This stuff is awesome. It's like spackle in a tube. So what I'm going to do is, I have a state of Florida here that is my pop-up dimensional that's going to come up right here. And I want my ocean, if you can tell from here, I want it to have waves. So that's where the dimensional come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Delta glaze, and I'm just going to dab it, and I'm putting the other Florida there is more like a template to know where to stop, because I want it to lay flat under that. And I'm basically just going to build these peaks by dabbing this. I hope you can see it. And I'm just going to do it all over. Try and come in from this direction. And then I'm going to take my finger when I get a bunch of this on here and just, ooh, that's a little glob of goop. I'm just going to take my fingers and make these peaks. Now these are my waves in my ocean. So I want them to stand up kind of tall. Now down here I'm not going to, because I have something I'm going to put there. And I need a little bit more. This stuff is so awesome. It's like frosting. I love it. To me, it's not crafting if you don't have your fingers all mucked up and yucky. So once I'm happy with that, and you can really see that texture, I'm gonna put this to the side and let it dry. So that's stage 1. And I'm just gonna kind of lift it up, put it over here to dry. Now, I have one that is already dried. So I'm going to show you the next step. I have this plaid Extreme Glitter. I better put the lid on this. I will tip it over. It's an Extreme Glitter t-shirt paint. And that's what I used for my ocean. And the color on this is called turquoise. So I'm going to stir it up real good. And it goes on kind of, it's really thick. But I'm just going to, where I shook it up and it's on the top of the lid, just going to take my finger and I'm going to rub it in. And you want to be really generous with it because when it dries, it kind of is a little bit clear. So I've noticed that the thicker I get it, the better it goes on. I mean, it just, like I said, it's got the glitter in it, but it's kind of clear. So I'm just going to really get it in there and work it into the crevices. And the reason I'm using my fingers rather than a paintbrush is because I found that by tapping it a little bit, I can get it into those crevices. And I'm going to kind of bring my ocean all the way up into the state area because I don't want any white space to show whenever I get I go to put my state on there for my dimension. And I really work that in there. Now you want to allow this to dry for at least an hour or so. Really get it good and dry. Just really work it in. And if you notice after it dries that you got some white spots, then just go over it one more time with the paint. And certainly you could just use regular paint and dump glitter in it, I guess. I have almost every color of this stuff. I love it. Love it. Because it gives you glitter, but then the glitter doesn't come off on your projects later, you know, when it's in your book. So, as you can see, there's a lot of sparkle in that already. So I'm going to put that to the side to dry. Now I have one that has already dried. And see, it's super sparkly. Love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to put the lid back on that before I get into trouble. Now, on this one, after it's dried really good, I'm going to go back with my gesso, whatever the stuff is called. And I'm going to put the white caps onto my ocean. And again, I'm just going to use my fingers. But I want a very, very small amount on here. So I'm just very barely tapping just so I get the tops of that texture. I don't really want it to work down into the crevices. And here in Florida, this coast is usually not full of white caps, so it's really funny that I chose this side to do this too. But up here around the Panhandle, of course, is some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. I mean, absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. But then when you get down into this area, it's usually kind of brown, brackish kind of water. A lot of flats. Scalloping goes on there in the summertime. Shrimping, that kind of thing. Lots of deep sea fishing, grouper fishing, that kind of thing. That's what we do in the summertime. Take the boat and go out and just really have a great time. So once I feel like I've gotten all those white caps in there. Now don't worry if you get too much on there, because when it's dry, we're going to come back and take some of that away. So once I get all those white caps, and I mean I'm rubbing it in, I'm going to take some water on my little, I've got some water on here, and I'm just going to lift some of it up off the crevices. I only really want the top of the white cap to show. Okay, so once I've got that done, move the gesso out of the way. Y'all, if you could see my desk, you'd cringe. Okay, that's out of the way. Now the next phase that I'm doing is I have the state of Florida. And I want to paint it. This one's got goop all over it. I've been using it. Now again, this is, I didn't do the other side. This is just chipboard, and I cut it out of 50 states. And it's not going to matter around the coastline here because we're going to cover it up anyway. But then I took my peeled paint, distressing ink, and just an applicator sponge, and I'm going to color it green. My daughter goes, "Don't leave out at Lake Okeechobee. Don't leave out at Lake Okeechobee." So once that's good and green, I'm going to take it and put it to the side. Now I'm going to let that dry. Then I'm going to take my antique linen and my applicator tool here, and I'm just going to brush along the edges just to kind of give it some depth. I'm really getting in there good. Okay, so now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to glue it down so that I have my dimension. Isn't that cool? It's getting so cool. Okay, now I'm going to take and right around the edge of the state where the water is, only where the water is, I'm going to fill that area with some glue. And I'm going to kind of overlap into the ocean a bit. And I'm going to come up here on the state. And this is the Quickie dry glue. And that bead of glue is now, I'm going to press into it some broken shell that I have. And I mean, I'm going to put it on there like glitter. And just, I really want it thick. And I'm going to work it in. Kind of tap down around the edges just a little bit. Now that glue is going to dry clear, and all those shells are going to fall off that were not under the glue. So now I have a coastline of shells. Isn't that cool? And I think, where's my sample? Yes, I did. I'm going to go back over this side of the coast as well. Because it has to be dimensional on both sides. I love these shells. I bought them at a shell shop. I bought a whole pound of them. I love them. Love them. I use them a lot. They're heavy though. You have to be careful. But once they glue down, they don't make too big a mess. Okay, tap that out, and then that's what we've got. Love it. Okay, now for making the dimension on... Now, I took the word summer and I cut it out of my Cricut, and it came from the Life's a Beach, and it has the little toucan guy on it, and I'm not crazy about him. So I cut him off, and I put some dimensional tape on the back of here, and I'm going to lift that up. Then I have a palm tree. I'm going to slip down here. And another palm tree I'm going to put right up here. I think that one needs to go this direction, actually. And another palm tree I'm going to kind of tuck in about right here. Then we have Mickey, because he's the center of everything. And he's going to go right there. And we're going to have this go up here. It's my beach picture. And then I'm going to put this up here on a pop dot and put it right here. And here is my fort in the lovely St. Augustine. I mean the lighthouse in the lovely St. Augustine. And then what I did was, on the word Florida and on the word summer, I took the same extreme glitter that is the orange color. It's called orange. And I put that all over it. And there we go. There's my tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.